What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again. I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 593, Marching Out the Zombies 4. And yeah, I'm going to do that as long as it's Marching Out the Zombies. I don't know why, I just am. So yeah, this chapter I've got a couple of big problems with this chapter, but they're not big enough that they detract from it completely. My first problem is not a fault of the chapter itself, it's just the circumstances. I think the fact we had to wait an extra week for this chapter kind of hurt it a little bit because it's just not. I don't want to say it's not worth it, but it's not worth it, you know. And the second issue is I've never really had a problem with Kubo's must have been leaning on my face with Kubo's lack of content. But this week, it really feels like this week adds absolutely nothing, in a sense. So we start off, and it's actually really annoyed me at the beginning, because the first 2 pages are what we had last week. And that's completely pointless. It's literally Mayuri saying, word for word, the exact same thing he said last week. And you know, I understand why he's done the top panel. I don't... Well, I kind of understand why he's done it for the rest of the chapter, but it's just a bit annoying. And especially since, if you read these in the tankobon, you don't need a recap of the last chapter because it's right next to it. So, it's definitely a bit of a waste of space, unfortunately. However, the action in this chapter makes up for it, and it's really cool seeing Hitsugaya and Mayuri fighting each other, because we haven't seen, two Shinigami going at it properly for a while. And what's interesting is, the Soul Society arc, back when Shinigami were fighting each other in what was basically a civil war breaking out, Hitsugaya and Mayuri were 2 captains who didn't actually get to fight another captain. Obviously, Hitsugaya fought Aizen, and he fought Gin, but not for very long. Both of those fights were over in maybe a chapter, although this one might be as well, so... But, really, they didn't really get to show off their skills as such against another Shinigami, so this is a pretty nice opportunity. So yeah, Hitsugaya tries to slash Mayuri dodges it, and then Mayuri does his best Spider-Man impression, and some webbing comes off his wrists, which I presume is what he summoned last week to stop Hitsugaya from killing Coolhorn. Who knows really though. But then we do get a very cool page where Hitsugaya kind of brings his sword down, and Mayuri's Zanpakuto comes out of his sleeve. It's actually very cool. It is very cool. Although Mayuri is my second favourite captain, so I'm probably a bit biased. But yeah, they lock blades, and then basically there's just this huge kind of flurry of sword clashes. They're both hitting against each other, and Mayuri's kind of blocking every single one. And I have to admit, when I was reading this, I was thinking I didn't realise Mayuri was so good at Zanjutsu. I didn't realise he was such a good swordsman. And then he possibly gives us a reason, but frankly, this whole chapter is trippy as hell. So literally, I don't know what's real and what's not, essentially. So basically, Mayuri says, maybe you're finding it weird that a laboratory recluse such as myself is able to parry everything you do. Because remember, Hitsugaya is meant to be a pretty damn good swordsman at the end of the day. And basically, Mayuri says that he's planted a sensor in Ashisogi Jizo that basically allows his blade to parry any blade. Now, if that is true, Mayuri may as well be the most powerful captain in the series, because he could literally beat anyone with these sciencey things that he does. But anyway, yeah, he says that every blade will be automatically parried. So then Hitsugaya tries to knee him in the stomach, but then Mayuri summons a little strange kind of... Well, it's gelatinous. But yeah, basically it's like a shield, but kind of made of jelly. And then basically Mayuri says, I might have just baited you to try and hit me without your sword. So can he actually parry everything? Or has he improved since, the last time he fought with a sword, which was ages ago. I don't think we've seen Ashisogi Jizo in Shikai since the Uryu fight? Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, the gelatinous shield latches onto Toshiro's knee and then blows his bloody kneecap off, which is pretty nasty. And you just see his kneecap, bleeding. And I thought he'd lost his leg to start with, but no, his foot's actually behind him. And then he freezes over the wound, and he kind of does a funky little pose and activates his Bankai. So I have to say that Toshiro Zombie is still very cool, and he still fights like a badass, and he still fights how real Toshiro should fight, using his ice cleverly. But yeah, he summons Daigen Hyorimaru, and he basically completely screws Mayuri over. Mayuri gets frozen up the middle, Toshiro then stabs him through the chest. Interesting to see that he's still got the ice flowers. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure this is the first time we've seen the ice flowers in this arc. And I thought Toshiro had finalised his Bankai by now, so you'd think we'd get rid of that, but evidently not. So then you're supposed to believe that Mayuri's been killed because Hitsugaya impales him. And that's a very, very cool little panel, actually. I wish it was a little bit bigger. But, yeah. Suddenly, we return to the very first page, essentially, where Mayuri's like, I have quite a few drugs I want to test on you. And I will admit, the first time I saw this, I was like, what the hell? Like, Manga Panda of... I don't remember who I was reading it with. But I was like, yeah, they must have screwed up. Like, I thought, just saw this first panel, I was like, they must have put another page in. Scroll down a little bit, and Toshiro's doing a different face. And I was like, wait a second, something's going on, this is weird. Mayuri then repeats his lines again, and it's a little bit annoying that we have to take up so much space with him repeating everything again, because he does it again later on. And that doesn't help the whole lack of content in this chapter, unfortunately. It's a pretty good battle chapter, the action's nice, but the repetition is a little bit annoying. But I kind of get why he's doing it, and it worked on me. I like, the first time I read it, I was like, what the hell? But then I did kind of figure it out, but I still think it's quite clever. And then Mayuri starts saying his whole, perhaps you're finding it weird that a laboratory recluse, and then Toshiro's just like, shut the fuck up. What the hell's going on? And then Mayuri's like, oh, our conversation does work then. That Toshiro Bankais again, and he kills Mayuri for a second time. Mayuri freezes, completely shatters, and then we go back to, I have quite a few drugs I want to test on you. So, it's trippy as hell, but it does make sense, some sense. But I've seen a couple of people on the forums just kind of trying to work out whether Toshiro is going back in time completely, or whether this whole thing is just hallucination and basically Mayuri's already got him beaten. So what we need to know is, what is a potential hallucination and what is real? So I'll get to the end of the chapter before I actually get into all that. Basically, Toshiro's like, what the hell is going on? And then Mayuri explains it all. He basically says that the drug I've given you, and this is really confusing, it doesn't help. The manga stream translation says, I've given you the ability to see into the past. The manga, whatever one I was reading before, translation says, I've given you the ability to see into the future, so great. Honestly, the future one makes more sense, in my opinion. It kind of makes, it's just so annoying, because the two different translations make just completely different sense. If we go with the manga stream translation and Hitsugaya is seeing into the past, then when Hitsugaya tries to kill Mayuri, everything goes back into the past. But if it is the see into the future one, then it's more likely that Hitsugaya is just hallucinating. God, this chapter's confusing. Yeah, but it's more likely that Hitsugaya is just hallucinating. So, and I'll tell you what I think again towards the end. So basically, Mayuri is just going on and on and on. And he's like, you can't kill the enemy, because if you try and kill me, you'll be set back to where we were to start with. And then basically, Mayuri says that if it's gone around more than 10 times, there'll be some serious side effects. Even though we've only seen it 3 times, I presume there's been 10 since Toshiro collapses to the floor. Basically, the part of your brain that is responsible for maintaining balance shuts off for 30 seconds. So Hitsugaya's paralysed on the floor, and then we get an absolutely fantastic troll face from Mayuri, where he says, when did I administer the drug to you? Then he presumably stabs Hitsugaya. We don't see what happens. But again, I'll get into that in a minute. So, about the whole going back in time, going through future thing. I think it's more likely that it's just a hallucination. I don't think they're all going actually back in time. One, how would it affect Mayuri? The drug is presumably only administered to Hitsugaya, so I don't see how Mayuri would be going back in time as well. So, and then there's another thing. Mayuri, when he repeats himself, when he's like, I'm a laboratory recluse, blah blah blah, he's clearly only saying that to maintain some kind of illusion. Because when Hitsugaya says, yeah, I know what you're on about, what's going on, Mayuri's like, oh, so you can talk after all. So basically, he was just saying that to get Hitsugaya to believe in this repeated motion. Whereas, if Mayuri was going back in time as well, when Hitsugaya said, "I know you've already said this. What are you talking about?" Mayuri would be like, "I haven't already said this. What are you talking?" Because Mayuri would be going back with him. So Mayuri's clearly staying ahead, while Hitsugaya is keep going like this. So Mayuri's like, "Yeah, I'll just feed the illusion." And Hitsugaya comes back. He says it again. Hitsugaya goes back. Hitsugaya comes back. Mayuri says it again. Hitsugaya's like, "Shut up." And Mayuri's like, "Oh, okay, now we can move forward." Basically, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Either way, Hitsugaya is screwed. He's absolutely screwed. Because Mayuri's just overpowered. But yeah. I have to say I like LOL science being used like this. It's funny in a battle. It's quite interesting. And it's better than like when Urahara comes in and gives everyone their Bankai back and we lose some cool Stirramatter. But anyway. Yeah, so that's the end of the chapter. Something happens at the end. We don't actually know if Hitsugaya gets stabbed. Now, I can't imagine Mayuri will try and kill him. Mayuri might be a crazy bastard, but he's not going to try and murder his, essentially, another captain, because, well, for one thing, that would get him absolutely screwed when this fight's eventually over. They'd be like, you probably didn't have to kill him if you had him paralysed on the floor. And it's not really Mayuri's style, I don't think, to just outright kill him. He'll probably rather he just left him there, like maybe in pain or something, because Mayuri's a bit of a sadistic bastard. But yeah, no, I don't, but honestly, like, even Mayuri could be the one getting attacked here. Like, Giselle's still sitting around somewhere. She wasn't even in this chapter. So she could slash Mayuri. This could be when she finally decides to properly join the fight. That'd be cool. I'd actually quite like that. But for now, it looks like Mayuri's got Hitsugaya completely beat. I would like to see Mayuri be pushed into a corner a bit more, like bring out his Bankai or something like that. Or even his Shikai again. Purely because we haven't seen Mayuri in trouble ever since the fight with Uryu. So I would like to see him kind of get pushed back a little more. That would be nice. As for the chapter score, I'm probably going to give it an 8. I thought the artwork was really good. The choreography was really good. The fight scene was good. And Mayuri's always great. And Hitsugaya's even relatively cool now as well. There wasn't a lot of content, really. It didn't move the story along at all, frankly. Apart from Hitsugaya. Basically, the story moved along because Hitsugaya fell to the ground. That was it. But you know, it's a typical battle chapter, so I don't feel like I'm complaining about that too much. So yeah, I'm going to drop an 8 on this one, guys. So just for clarification's sake, I feel Mayuri is staying in the present, and it's Hitsugaya who is hallucinating. He keeps hallucinating that he's going back to the past. Now we can move on, because presumably they're in the present. So yeah. Trippy. I'm sure there was something else I was going to talk about that I mentioned earlier, that I said I'd get into later. Oh, I can't remember it. So yeah. That's pretty it. That's pretty much it. 8 out of 10, I think. It's a bit annoying that we had to wait a week for this and not a lot happened, but hopefully next week will be really good. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you thought of this chapter, and don't forget to subscribe. That'd be really awesome of you all. I really appreciate that. But other than that, guys, I'll catch you next time. See ya.